Welcome, everyone, to our Enterprise Fleet Summit. Thank you so much for joining us today. And we are starting off today with one of my favorite topics, and I think one of the most important issues affecting our industry today. And that's recruiting more wonderful women to this industry. We need them. We have so many different roles that women can fill, I think, in the next couple of years. And I think to address this, we have a really great guest with us today. Jennifer Hedrick, new president and CEO of the Women in Trucking Association. Jennifer, thank you so much for joining us today to dive into this.
Thanks, Grace.
Yeah, I'm very excited. We've chatted in the past on various shows, and I've been a part of the Women in Trucking Association for a while now. So I love everything that you guys are doing. And I'd love to hear from you and your perspective on, let's start with a lot of the misconceptions and stereotypes that maybe are discouraging women today if they are considering becoming a truck driver or joining our industry and working for a number of these enterprise fleets.
Sure. Great question to start off with, and really happy to be with you today. So thanks again for the invitation. There are a lot of misconceptions, and we certainly, as Women in Trucking Association, try to break down those different myths. And a few of those are that it's just it doesn't allow the flexibility that many women are looking for in their home and personal life. So, whether that's child caring responsibilities or caring for maybe a parent, an aging parent, that sort of thing. Those are some myths that they're often perceived and incorrect, honestly, as we look at this overall industry. The other myth that has been a challenge over time is that there's still a perception that if you are an over-the-road driver, that you're gone for long periods of time, and in fact, and again, taking you away from the home and creating some challenges there potentially personally. But that's not really the case either. There are a lot of careers as drivers where women can leave in the morning and return in the evening and fulfill all the responsibilities that they need to handle. And others are, that's not a safe environment for women to be on the road and to be stopping at different locations. There's been some misperceptions about truck stops, and certainly over the years, those have gotten to be much safer and much more inclusive environments through work of a number of different people, including Women in Trucking, including Ellen Voya, and creating more safe spaces there. And then just also that physically it's challenging and women aren't strong enough to handle those responsibilities. So, Grace, that's certainly not true. There are just so many opportunities for women as drivers and other roles in the trucking industry. And so, but that's really a short list of some of the challenges and barriers that we have to overcome.
Yeah, and even that short list right there, I think, is already working its way out of the stereotypes. Right? We have even data in Sonar that showcases that hauls are getting shorter and shorter as years go by, as retailers and shippers start to maneuver warehousing and changed into like this more micro fulfillment centers. Right? There's so many different opportunities, I think, that will allow for women to be home more. And plus, with, I think, technology today, routing them to make sure that they're home isn't as much of an issue as it might have been in the past. So I love that you chose, especially those two, because that's, I think, an area that will slowly become easier for women who might have children at home to participate in this industry in some way. There's so many different ways that you can be a driver and not have to be gone for weeks on end, right? So I think that's very interesting, and happy that you brought that up too. I'd love to hear from your perspective as well, maybe some of the barriers or challenges that women are facing to even get into the industry, and what steps can maybe fleet owners out there or leaders in our space take to start to chip those down and make it a little bit easier for women to enter.
Sure. I think, again, a lot of the barriers really take the form of misinformation. And we have done, I think personally, Women in Trucking over the years has done a terrific job of communicating opportunities through, we've got a job board, for example. We have very extensive presence on social media. And so making sure that there's education across a variety of different mediums, so that those interested in joining the industry, those who are already in the industry, companies who are looking to recruit women in particular to join, have the resources that they need. So, again, the growing use of social media and certainly across the different platforms, we know that older workers tend to use Facebook and LinkedIn, and younger workers are using different things like TikTok and Snap and those sorts of things, Instagram. So channeling those messages to those groups to be sure that they're targeted and accurate and creating interest and opportunity. That's really a key way to overcome some of those barriers of misinformation.
Yeah. And for any women watching, right, who are interested in joining the industry, you guys do an incredible job of recognizing those in the space that are leading these initiatives, right? So I would highly suggest going to the Women in Trucking Association's website and looking at those award winners, because I've spoke with them in the past a number of times at your events, and they're very proud to be known for how they recruit women and bringing in more women as well. How do you feel like women, as we do get them in these roles, how do their perspectives and their experiences help grow or help increase the efficiency, right, of some of these companies? What's the power that a woman has when she comes into this industry?
Sure. So that's a great question. And, something that we celebrate every day in Women in Trucking is the promotion of gender diversity. And you think about your own company and your own life, and diversifying that environment to add the perspectives of women, men, and others. I mean, certainly we want that information. We're stronger as people. We're stronger as a society. Companies are stronger as well. And in fact, that really enhances the bottom line. Data shows as well. So, bringing women into roles and providing them resources to grow is certainly, part of our key mission. And then, of course, there's data out there that shows that, that women drivers, for example, are safer on the road. There's data out there that from ATRI that shares that and shows that. And also, the emotional intelligence of women is high. And so that brings a lot of efficiencies and maturity to work environments. And again, it just expands the diversity, expands the perspective. And certainly that's what, is key to us at Women in Trucking, and enhancing the experience for women and increasing the number of women in the workplace and transportation overall, regardless of the role.
I completely agree. I think really diversity at any level, right? We're talking gender, race, any of those areas. It brings, like you said, a new perspective and a new, maybe challenging the norms of your company, but challenging in a positive direction. And I think if you're maybe struggling in an area and you notice that there aren't women in decision makers within that maybe department or that section of your company, I think that's a good time for your leadership to look at inward and say, maybe we should diversify the decision makers that we have here. And I think it's one of those things where I've noticed in my career that a lot of times women need that hand to be reached out to them, right? It's not just about, well, I'm putting my resumes out there and women aren't responding. It takes that affirmative approach to say, no, we want you here, and to maybe go to local women's groups or visit classrooms and lead some of the potential candidates. So I love that you understand, and that what you're doing with Women in Trucking too is making sure that representation is there, because I think more and more companies are starting to realize what they're lacking without it as well.
Add a quick point onto that, Grace, because I like where this is going, and just wanted to share. We have a number of companies that have developed employee resource groups, And those have just been extremely popular and valuable in adding to the discussion on not only diversity, equity, inclusion, but gender diversity. And I was actually having some conversations this week. WM, one of our members, has a specific women's roundtable that they bring women together and hear their perspectives on working within the company, driving within the company. And I think that's certainly valuable. And I was also chatting with JB Hunt, and they have a program that they call Growing and Retaining Outstanding Women that has over 2,000 members or over 2,000 employees, part of that specific ERG. And there are countless others, but it's just clear that companies are taking a very specific approach to training and providing the resources and eliminating some of those barriers that exist for women and others within their companies to performing well and to getting to know one another and growing within that company.
Yeah, and to even go off of that too, what's interesting is people sometimes ask, how do I recruit more women? And sometimes it's about starting with retaining them, right? And developing those programs and then seeing how organically that word of mouth kind of experience gets around. And I think you bring up something, a company like JB Hunt, where not only do you see those wonderful resource groups, right? But you also see what at the top, strong women, right? And I think that's, ask yourself before you go out and say, hey, how do I recruit women? Well, how have you retained them? And how are you treating the women that are in your four walls now? And I can guarantee if they're enjoying their experience at your company, you're going to start to see more come in, right?
Yeah, exactly. And we're very fortunate at Women in Trucking. I mean, we just have a significant group of female leaders, volunteer leaders, either on committees or are in our board. And that list is just very impressive, and it's such a treat for me to get to work with them and learn from them. But a number of those women are very active mentors and have been mentors throughout their careers, or who have said, I'm at a different stage of my career right now and want to shift that focus over to growing women and making sure that they understand what a career could look like, whether that's in corporate roles, in an office environment, or on the road. And so it's exciting to see many of these women who are very intentional about not only one-on-one mentorship opportunities, but growing mentorship programs within their particular companies as well. And we have a mentor match program within Women in Trucking too that folks can read about on our website. But it really just gives women an opportunity to connect with one another. They can do that. They can be matched with somebody in their community, or they can be matched with somebody on the other side of the world. It's really their preference. But we all benefit from having strong relationships and learning from people who have been there before us, and growing from what they've learned and how they've led. So really just a big champion of mentorship and those kinds of opportunities.
Yeah, definitely. I want to talk about this recruiting and really the step after. You've brought this new a female employee into the workforce. And I know that there's a lot of work that you're doing around the training of women, right? Of making them feel comfortable in this space and making sure that when we do capture a new a female into this industry, how they're seeing themselves grow in their career. Can you tell us a little bit about the work that you're doing and maybe more of the awareness within the training programs across fleets, and how they can improve those in order to retain more women over time?
Sure. So I think for us internally at Women in Trucking, we provide a number of different resources. So we have white papers and we have webinars, that members have access to, and really the general public has access to, that touch on those particular topics. So we try to provide guidance, based on experience of our members, based on data, that can help guide those efforts within companies. And we also have something called the WIT Index, which tracks the roles of women across various positions within the transportation space and within trucking specifically. And we use that data to provide, resources and education to companies as they develop those sorts of programs, and especially on the retention side. Um, Making sure, as we all know, with onboarding, you can bring somebody in, and often that process stops, and folks are not attended to. They're sort of left to be on their own, and that can create some challenges, especially if you're in a new role, if you're in a new industry overall. And so, certainly having a process in place to um, guide someone in their career, checks and balances, and checking in, and obviously establishing specific metrics and programs for reporting and sharing of that experience is helpful too. Word of mouth, and if you have a difficult onboarding situation, or if you're not paid attention to in your job, I mean, that certainly doesn't bode well for the company overall, and it makes it difficult for an individual to want to recruit other women to their companies and to the profession. So those are important things that companies need to look at. And again, we try to provide those resources. We do provide those resources that companies can use as they're looking at hiring and recruitment and retention.
I want to talk about roles too, because we are in this enterprise fleet, right? We're talking larger fleets. We're investing in not only new technologies, but I mean, at some point we are looking at autonomous vehicles, electric vehicles, et cetera, which is going to be a lot of different types of jobs. So while we do want more women in the driver's seats, can you tell us maybe what work you're doing, or even roles that you're seeing from your members that are maybe less outside of that seat and working internally with these fleets?
Sure. Well, as you know, we're constantly hearing about shortages of mechanics and technicians and those kinds of things. And so that's important information to both know and share. And so that's an area where Women in Trucking is emphasizing that those roles are available. I know a number of our member companies have put programs in place to do that as well. And technology, I think, like anything, we all have to be on point with technology and where changes are going. I mean, think about all that's happening in AI, and I feel like every day there's some new information out there about that could potentially impact our roles and our organizations and that sort of thing. So obviously staying abreast of technology and the needs that can be solved with better technology, and sometimes the challenges that technology creates. Sometimes technology, we're sort of told to think that technology makes life easier and more efficient, and that's not always the case. So taking keen effort to be sure that you have the right technology for your organizations is important too.
And I think that you're seeing more and more women in these STEM roles, right? And I get really excited when I get to interview maybe a female coding engineers, or like you said, mechanics, right? And we're going to need, not only is there a shortage right now of regular mechanics, but when we get into electric vehicles and autonomous vehicles, I mean, that's going to be a whole different type of mechanical engineering that we'll need help with. So I love that you are already working and addressing this problem too. I'm huge when it comes to these types of really engraved structural issues across an array of problems in industries. But this one in particular, for me, the solution is also something that I think needs to start with education early on in a woman's life and career. And you have, between Girl Scout groups and different work that you do, you're really focused on trying to get this industry into, I mean, even young girls' heads before they go off and make a different career choice. Can you tell us a little bit about that work and how you're working with fleets in order to have them represented in front of young women as well.
Sure. So we have a trailer called Whitney, and Whitney goes throughout the country and participates in different shows and opportunities with Girl Scout groups at schools, at conferences, at all sorts of different informational events. And you're right, we have been focused throughout the history of Women in Trucking Association on educating young girls about opportunities in the transportation profession. And so, what Whitney allows is an opportunity for people to walk through the trailer. They learn more about the trucking profession, careers and opportunities that are available. They see live videos, or they see recorded videos, excuse me, of women who are drivers and hold other roles within the trucking profession, and what that not only means to them, but how that impacts their life and creates opportunities for them. And then at the conclusion of the tour of the trailer, there is a simulator, and so you have the opportunity to sit down at the wheel and experience what it's like to actually drive a truck. And speaking of technology, I mean, that technology is really fantastic, and it's just fun, and really, I think, shows the responsibility of driving a truck, but also just really makes that more accessible to young girls, and creates opportunities, like you said, of kind of envisioning what careers could look like. So we try to take Whitney to as many events as we possibly can, and then we have a wonderful group of drivers who haul Whitney, or who are available within the trailer to talk to our guests, and just really share their experiences of what life is like on the road for them. So so it's really it really, that tool really helps, as you said, start at such a young age in educating and taking away some of those myths that do exist.
Yeah, I will say I've been in Whitney's simulation in the past, and I will tell the audience this: I will get the load there safely. It will just take a while. That's I didn't crash. I just drove awfully slow. So I'm slowly getting there. Like I said, cargo safe, and except for I'm going to be moving at the pace of a snail. And I actually really did love the simulation too, because man, the blind spots of mirrors and just different small things that you don't consider. I very quickly learned how much work goes behind that wheel, and how much responsibility there is for that. And extremely happy to know a number of women, and loved, of course, seeing your event and seeing the women that are just so proud to be behind that wheel and continue to grow their careers as well. We have a couple of minutes here. I'm interested, Jennifer, as we wrap this up, what is the rest of the year, and now that you're in this role, what are some big goals that Women in Trucking has in front of them that fleets out there watching today can reach out to help participate with?
Sure. So so you mentioned our event, so I'll start with that. We have an annual conference, Accelerate Conference and Expo. It'll be November 5th through 8th this year in Dallas, Texas. Whitney will be there, so folks will have the opportunity to walk through and experience that simulator as you did. And we have an exhibit hall. We have tons of panels available, and sessions available for education, including a driver track this year, which we're really excited about. And then we use the opportunity also to just honor and celebrate women for their different accomplishments. So we have various different sessions that are focused on awarding and honoring women and companies for their work in creating gender diversity. So it's really a terrific event. We should have over 2,000 people there. Again, November 5th through 8th in Dallas. And all that information is on our website. And we're also focused, this is a time of transition. We've celebrated the career of Ellen Voya and her accomplishments in building and growing Women in Trucking Association, and have a board that is very focused on continuing that growth. So that's very exciting. We have long-term 10-year aspirational goals to grow our association to 25,000 members by our 25th year of existence. So excited to work on that as well. And we've got upcoming webinars that one immediate this coming Wednesday. That information is on our website, and it focuses on health and well-being. And just encourage folks to check that out and participate as well. And again, that's on our website, womenintrucking.org. But there's a lot happening, a lot we're really excited about, and especially as we prepare for our Accelerate conference this November.
Well, I appreciate Women in Trucking's holistic approach to attacking this problem. I think there's different areas and avenues to take that we really need to consider when addressing this problem in our industry. So, Jennifer, thank you so much for joining us today. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Grace.
Yeah, and for everyone else, enjoy the rest of this summit. This is just the very beginning, and we'll be back with you soon.